Hey folks, Lemonade here, and I am freaking ecstatic that I had the opportunity to test this bad boy out. Today in the office, we have the newly updated Gamesense Rush. And it's just, we'll get into the details. This thing's a gem, but let's get into it after this. All right, folks, quick disclaimer. Gamesense did send me this free of charge for review, but that does not change my final opinion on this, and it never will on any product I ever receive. I will also be posting a review on Reddit of this, so keep an eye out for that if you prefer written reviews. I should be getting that out before the end of the week here. Let's get into some of the details, and we'll start off with the box. Normally boxes are okay, plain Jane, whatever, and they get the job done. Sometimes they have a nice little pattern, but this thing is freaking cool. I mean, come on. This little Raiden with the lightning and this blade. I mean, come on. It's subtle. You'll never see it again, maybe, but awesome. Whoever you hired for your artist, this is really, really cool. More companies do this. Do this cool stuff with your boxes. This is a nice touch. Good job, Gamesense. All right, box out of the way. We'll get into the specs of this. This one's super simple. So it comes in one size, 500 by 500 based square design, 3mm thin, and it is 35 USD. The surface itself here, so no coating, uniform X and Y, uses a very standard rubber base here, anti-slip, zero issues on my desk and on the other desk over there. Both of them have been perfectly fine. Logo is updated, and I will show you that on the website, but this is the new logo for the Gamesense Rush. It's a super small. It is on the surface, on top of the surface, kind of similar to the Lethal Gaming Gear lineup, but this one feels a little bit more inset. I don't know, it's just smaller, more out of the way. There may be a cause for concern when you watch this pad, if you ever watch it down the road, because it's on top of the surface. It looks like there's almost like a coating over the logo, so I don't know. I'll reach out to them and see, maybe Gamesense can comment on this. Is this okay to be washed? But it doesn't seem like it would be. In it again, it seems higher quality than the Lethal Gaming Gear versions that I've tested. Humidity resistance, it is way better than my glorious mousepad, and I always bring that one up because that thing was awful. No issues here, no concern, and I live in the pretty much the most humid state in the US, so I would be worst case scenario, and if it doesn't bother me, you all will be fine. Surface itself, it is a rougher texture. That's generally what you're going to find out of a speed pad. It's not really smooth at all, but it's not like annoying or anything. I mean, if you wear a sleeve or not, I mean, you could definitely get used to this. It's just if you're coming from a standard kind of Walmart or IKEA pad, this is going to feel different, maybe weird, but you'll get used to it, and it's definitely not a problem. Now, because the surface is this texture, the pad is a speed demon. It's a fast boy, so if you like speed, this thing's it. I mean, it's very freeing, and dynamic static friction is almost non-existent. I mean, it's just super consistent. It feels like your skates just kind of float over it. There's like really no tug at all. I mean, this is definitely, you know, if you have good mouse control, you'll love this pad. It's phenomenal. Stitching is an area where they super focused on. That was a big thing for them. They changed the logo, obviously, but the stitching, and I'll show you on the website, you can see the old stitching kind of, but this stitching is what they wanted to improve, and they knocked it out of the park. It's phenomenal. Super thin. It's the thinnest stitching I've ever seen, at least in my collection. Completely level. It's hands down the best in my collection. I mean, there's just no QC issues at all. This is flawless and spot on. Now, in terms of glide, if you all know, if you've seen some of my other videos, I always test out different skates because everyone has, you know, different mouse feet and different designs and all that, and they generally, there is some subtle differences. On this thing, it does not matter. It just flies on whatever you throw at it. It's just a flying speed demon. Does not matter. All my mice just move, and I love that. It's, again, incredibly consistent no matter what you put on it. So if you're a person that uses different mice or mouse feet, or you experiment with things, or you just want a consistent surface, I mean, this is this is it. It's pretty darn close to, if you've ever seen my Vance or Ace video, I'll link it up here, for a cloth polyester surface, and that thing had like a specialized film on it. This is pretty spot on, if not almost identical, in terms of just overall feel of your movement. Obviously the surface feel is a bit different. So I'm going to do a quick comparison with a pad that is super identical to it in a lot of different ways, and a pretty popular pad. So I'm going to bring that in right now. Okay folks, so here we have the Lethal Gaming Gear Mercury. Again, I have a video on this and comparing it with another pad. I'll link that here if you want to watch the finer details of this. But the Mercury is pretty much a direct competitor in a sense to the Rush, and it's the closest I have in feel, texture, and all that to this pad. So that's why I think it's a fair one to bring on the show. And this is a pretty popular brand and pretty popular pad in itself. So a lot of people may be wondering kind of what the differences are and if it's worth kind of making the switch, or if you're just kind of eyeing both of these. So the Mercury, it is slightly slower. There is more dynamic and static friction, so it's kind of going to hold you back a little bit in terms of overall movement. It's not necessarily a slow pad by any means, but again, when comparing it, you do feel more of a tug on this pad. The stitching is nice and it is flat, but it's wider, and I'll bring this up to the camera. There is a thickness difference, so 4mm versus 3mm on the Gamesense Rush, and I do think the extra thickness of the Mercury is giving it a touch more control, and that's probably why I'm feeling a little bit more tug when I'm using this particular pad versus the Rush. The thing though with the Mercury, it does come in more size options. So if you're a based aimer and you want 500 by 500, you got it here. You actually don't have 500 by 500 on the Mercury, but it does come in desk pad sizes as well. So if you want a choice for your entire desk being covered, the Mercury is the only one of the two that offers that. Now, performance in-game, I've done well in Shadowline, Battlefield 5, Battlefield 2042 on both of these pads. They are similar, again, in overall feel, but the Rush literally feels effortless. It's just more fun to use. It has character. I didn't necessarily feel that about the Mercury initially, but once I got this in, I got the Rush afterwards, it just immediately felt just, again, more fun to use. And that's why my personal choice would be the Rush. I just prefer less tug on my inner hand movements. I like how well this works and how super consistent it is with all the various mice I use. You know, being a reviewer, testing a lot of things, it's nice to have something that's super consistent to compare things with. And then again, just not having a big difference when I'm kind of bouncing between things. The Gamesense Rush is definitely going to be on my desk for quite some time. I'm going to bring you to the website super quick here. We're going to talk about designs, and then we'll close off like usual, folks. Okay, we're on Gamesense's website here. So we have the Rush, again, $35. You can actually see the old logo here. I quite like this. This is all subjective, but I did like this old logo. But you can actually see kind of the waviness and the thickness of this stitching. It's much more than the current iteration of it. You can see some details here and all that. I did want to show you one thing, and this is where I think they just do better than Lethal. Their designs are freaking awesome, and I hope now with the new version of the Rush that we're going to lean into some of the things that we're seeing with the radar, the classic design here, the 4mm design, and all these different color variations of it. This is awesome, and I love to see this. Obviously these even come in desk pad sizes, but it's so cool to see, you know, kind of innovation in design. I love to see a little flare on the desk. The radar 4mm is, this is just in the smoky pattern is phenomenal. I absolutely love this. So hopefully we see more of this kind of coming to the Rush now that they've gotten, you know, the stitching and the quality kind of down on its surface. It would be really awesome to see, and it's something that Lethal Gaming Gear is kind of getting into now, but I still feel, again, that Gamesense is just doing a better job on their overall designs. All right, folks, again, highly recommend if you're looking for a speed pad. You can't go wrong with the Gamesense Rush. Great price point, great quality, and awesome performance. All my socials are down below, along with any affiliate links and discount codes. I don't have any codes for this particular pad, but I will link you to the product page down below. And on that note, if you had a good time with me today, likes and subs are always appreciated. Leave a comment down below and let me know your thoughts. We'll be releasing, again, that written review on Reddit later this week. But until the next Fresh Squeeze video, stay thirsty, folks.